Many people today carry a quiet weight inside, stress that never fully leaves, thoughts that keep returning, a feeling that something in life is never quite enough. When suffering appears, we often search for solutions outside ourselves. We try to control circumstances, change people, or force the mind to be calm. But what if the real transformation begins somewhere else? What if the key is not in changing the world, but in understanding the nature of the mind itself? In the Great Compassion Sutra, Avalokiteshvara reveals a profound insight. The power of the Great Compassion mantra does not lie only in sacred sound. Its true form is the awakening of the heart. In this series, we gently explore this ancient teaching and discover how its wisdom still speaks to the struggles of our modern lives. Let us now return to the sutra and revisit that sacred moment. In the previous passage of the sutra, a remarkable moment unfolded. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva revealed the Great Compassion mantra before the entire assembly. As the sacred words were spoken, the sutra describes extraordinary signs. The earth trembled. Heavenly flowers fell from the sky. Buddhas throughout the 10 directions rejoiced. Many beings present attained deep realization. Some entered the first stages of awakening. Others progressed further along the path of liberation. In this way, the sutra reveals the profound impact of the Great Compassion Dharani. Yet among the vast assembly, one being felt a deep sense of wonder. The Great Brahma King had attended countless assemblies of the Buddhas and heard many teachings and sacred Dharanis. But this mantra seemed different. With great respect, he approached Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva and asked a simple but profound question. What is the true form of this Dharani? Let us now return to the sutra itself and listen carefully to this exchange. The Great Brahma King spoke respectfully to Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. He said, "Excellent, great being. From long ago until now, I have attended countless assemblies of the Buddhas. I have heard many profound teachings and many sacred Dharanis. Yet never before have I encountered such wondrous phrases as this unobstructed Great Compassion Dharani. I respectfully ask you to explain the form and characteristics of this Dharani. All of us here sincerely wish to hear and understand it." Hearing this request, Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva responded with kindness. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva said, "You ask this question for the skillful benefit of all living beings. Therefore, listen carefully, and I will briefly explain." The Bodhisattva then revealed the true form of the Great Compassion Dharani. He said that this Dharani is expressed through certain qualities of mind. These include the mind of great compassion, the mind of equality, and the mind beyond conditioned action. It is also the mind free from attachment, the mind that does not cling, the mind of reverence, and the mind of humility. Avalokiteshvara continued, "This Dharani is also the mind free from confusion, the mind that does not grasp, and the mind that does not cling to possession. Above all, it is the mind of supreme awakening, the mind of Bodhi." The Bodhisattva then said, "Know that all these qualities of mind together are the true form of this Dharani. Therefore, you should practice according to them." Hearing these words, the Great Brahma King spoke again with gratitude. He said, "Today, We and the entire assembly are fortunate to understand the true form of this Dharani. From this moment forward, we will receive and uphold this teaching without forgetting it. In this way, the sutra reveals something both simple and profound. The Great Compassion Dharani is not merely a sequence of sacred syllables, it is the living expression of an awakened heart. In this passage of the sutra, the Great Brahma King raises a very important question. He had already attended countless assemblies of the Buddhas and heard many profound teachings in sacred Dharanis. Yet when he heard the Great Compassion Dharani, he did not simply listen. He asked about its form, not how to recite it, not how many times to repeat it, but what its true nature is. This question reveals something subtle. Sacred words can easily be heard only at the level of sound. But Brahma sensed that this Dharani points to something deeper. His question opens the door for Avalokiteshvara to reveal the inner meaning behind the mantra. When Avalokiteshvara responds, his answer is unexpected. He does not explain the structure of the mantra or the hidden power of its syllables. Instead, he describes a series of qualities that arise within the mind of great compassion, the mind of equality, the mind free from attachment, the mind of reverence and humility, a mind that is not confused, not grasping, and not clinging to possession, and finally, the mind of Bodhi, the aspiration for awakening. Avalokiteshvara then says clearly, these states of mind are the form of the Dharani itself. This teaching shifts our attention from the sound of the mantra to the transformation of the mind. When the sutra speaks about the form of the Dharani, it does not mean a visible shape or structure. It refers to the living expression of consciousness. If the mind is filled with grasping, fear, or pride, even sacred words remain only sound. The mantra may be correct, yet the heart remains unchanged. But when the mind becomes compassionate, humble, and less attached to its own reactions, the same mantra begins to carry a different quality. In that moment, the Dharani is no longer something external that we repeat. It becomes the natural expression of an awakened heart. The sutra therefore suggests a very subtle relationship between the mantra and the mind of the practitioner. When the mantra is recited slowly and attentively, the mind begins to gather. Instead of moving from thought to thought, attention settles into a single stream of awareness. As the mind becomes steadier, emotional reactivity softens. When reactivity softens, the heart becomes less defensive. In this quieter state, compassion can arise naturally. The mantra, therefore, does not create compassion by force. It gathers the mind, calms the mind, and reveals the qualities already present within the mind. This is the deeper insight of this passage in the sutra. The Great Compassion Dharani is not separate from the consciousness that recites it. Sound may introduce the mantra, but its true form appears through the transformation of the mind. When the mind becomes compassionate, humble, and free from grasping, the Dharani is already alive. The mantra begins with sound, but its true form is the awakening of the heart. The question then becomes, how can these qualities be cultivated in the midst of daily life? If the true form of the Dharani is the state of the mind, then the practice of the mantra is not limited to moments of recitation. The sutra invites us to observe how the mind moves in daily life. Each time the mantra is recited, the mind gathers, and when the mind becomes gathered, it becomes easier to notice the movements of thought, emotion, and reaction. Instead of being carried away by every impulse, awareness begins to appear. This awareness is the space in which the qualities described in the sutra can begin to grow. For example, when anger arises, the habitual response is to react immediately. But when the mind has been trained through the steady recitation of the mantra, something different becomes possible. There is a small moment of awareness. In that moment, we see the anger without becoming the anger. This space allows compassion to appear more easily. Not because we force ourselves to be compassionate, but because the mind is no longer completely dominated by its own reactions. The same process applies to attachment. Much of human suffering arises from the mind constantly grasping for approval, security, or control. When the mantra is practiced regularly, the mind becomes quieter and more stable. In that stability, we begin to see how grasping operates. Simply seeing it clearly already loosens its grip. This is the beginning of non-attachment. It is not indifference. It is the freedom that appears when the mind no longer clings to every passing thought. Gradually, the qualities described in the sutra begin to unfold naturally. Compassion becomes easier. Humility appears when we see how restless and reactive the mind can be. Equality appears when we recognize that every person struggles with the same mind. In this way, the Great Compassion Dharani becomes more than a chant. It becomes a way of training the mind to return again and again to awareness, clarity, and compassion. The sutra therefore suggests that the Dharani is not something distant or mystical. It is the gradual transformation of the mind through awareness and compassion. The mantra gathers the mind. A gathered mind becomes calm. A calm mind begins to see clearly, and from that clarity, compassion appears naturally. Let us now take a few quiet moments to rest in that awareness. Let us take a quiet moment now to simply pause. Allow the body to soften. Let the shoulders relax, and gently bring attention to the natural rhythm of the breath. There is nothing you need to achieve, nothing you need to force. Just breathe slowly and allow the mind to settle. As the breath flows in and out, notice the simple presence of awareness. Thoughts may still appear, emotions may still arise, but instead of following them, simply observe. Let the mind rest in quiet awareness. In this quiet space, allow the heart to soften. There is no need to create compassion through effort. When the mind becomes still, compassion often appears naturally. Just as the sutra suggests, the true form of the Great Compassion Dharani is revealed through the qualities of the mind. When the mind is calm, humility appears. When the mind is clear, equality appears. When grasping relaxes, compassion appears. These qualities are not something we must manufacture. They are already present within the deeper nature of awareness. For a few moments, simply remain here, breathing gently, aware of the present moment, Allow the mind to rest in this quiet field of awareness. In this stillness, the heart becomes lighter, and the qualities described in the sutra begin to reveal themselves naturally. Compassion, humility, clarity. This is the living expression of the Great Compassion Dharani. The mantra begins with sound, but its true form is the awakening of the heart. When the mind becomes compassionate, the mantra is already being spoken, even in silence. Thank you for sharing this moment of quiet reflection.